is underappreciated, under talked about, is that it's not men's fault. It's not men's fault. There's some ways that some people try to make it out to be men's fault, but it's really not. No, I won't say the simps, because the simps, yeah, they play a big part in the problem. So those men, the simps, it's part of their fault because they enable the problem. They, you know, gas up women, hype women up who shouldn't be hyped up. But it's not men's fault in the sense that don't buy into the propaganda. Don't buy into the propaganda that says you're the reason why women don't want you. You're the reason because you're not good enough, or because you're not smooth talking enough, or you're not alpha enough, or you don't make enough money, or this or that. Like, all those things are shallow. And they're materialistic in the sense that, you know, those things aren't what love is. Those things aren't what makes a relationship. We might need some of those things in life in general. Yeah, you need food, you need money to do this or that, whatever, but that's not what it's about. They always try to make it about that. And this is layered. It's insidiously layered. And when you peel back the layers of what it really comes down to, it's narcissism, it's sin, it's evil, it's selfishness, it's lust, it's solipsism, it's taking advantage of the system, taking advantage of the environment. And I think that there's something that's within female nature, for whatever reason, that is prone to those things. I think that men are prone to those things too, but not as much, because I think that the burden on men, I just think we're different. I think that we're created differently. I do think men are created to want a family, to want that kind of stability, that kind of love. And the lie is that men are not that way. The lie, and I use the word projection because a lot of what feminism does is it projects. It projects how women are. Women are the real manipulators. Women are the real, you know, users and abusers, and they twist it around on us like we're the problem. But that's just bullshit. That's a twist, and it's social engineering. And when I say this is layered, I mean it's not only layered in the sense that it's layered with female nature, but it's layered with social engineering. It's layered with social engineering in the sense that feminism is planned and implemented and detailed in how evil and insidious it is. It goes deep to the core of, like, we're going to create this entire massive lie so that we can dismantle family units. Everything, I mean, I wouldn't say everything, but many things in our modern world are meant to harm you, are meant to cause you to be sick, are meant to spiritually derail you, are meant to, get you caught up. I'm talking many, many things: food, entertainment, wages, careers, schooling, ideologies, right? Even to a very good extent, religions. I'm not saying belief in God or spirituality in the sense that connection with God Himself. I'm talking about the institutions of man made religions, right? All these things and many more things are just tailored to keep you stuck in the matrix, to keep you depressed, to lower your testosterone, to make you sick, to cause you to be lonely and to get divorced, to be lustful, to be in this cycle of sin, right? It's social engineering, and I believe it's coming from a certain demographic. I believe there's certain people, you could call them the elites, you could call them the shadow government, you could call them the puppet masters, you could call them the Illuminati, the cabal, the Zionists, the Freemasons. It's all part of the same crap. And these people, behind these people, is Satan. Seriously. It's Satan works through people, and so does God. God works through people as well. But God is what? Love, light, life, sustenance, peace, praise, thankfulness, repentance, right? Health, longevity. All these things are within God. He's the reality. The Bible says God is the reality of all positive things, right? The reality of all positive things. Well, what's the opposite of that? It's the matrix. It's the world system that's set up to keep you enslaved. That's set up to, everything. All the things I talked about. Cause sickness, cause division, cause strife, right? All these things are, part and parcel of that evil force. But when I say it's not men's fault, I mean that there's something bigger than you that's going on, and to whatever extent it's always gone on, you know. We do have a time where there were some ideal years, maybe some ideal decades, particularly in America, where there was certain type of prosperity and a certain type of really good situation for men, and families, and traditionalism. But, evil historically has always been there, and part of the human experience is living alongside that evil and, surviving amongst it. And that's what we're going through. We're going through an evil. We're going through an evil period. We're going through, systemic, implemented, planned social engineering type of evil. I mean, specifically, feminism, right? Specifically, these subversive ideologies. And there's nuance to it. Because you can't sit here and be like, no, women shouldn't have rights. No, women shouldn't have freedom. But the nuance is that it doesn't end there. It goes beyond. It's like, okay, well, you have rights, but what about accountability? It's like, okay, you've got freedom, but what about responsibility? What about values? What about ethics, morals? Those things were thrown out with the baby in the bathwater, right? So women think, oh, well, I've got freedom. Now I can just go do whatever I want because that's what freedom is. No, that's not what freedom is. Freedom is not the right to be loose and immoral. It's the power to control yourself. I'm free. I do have that choice. I could go, be an alcoholic or go do drugs, or I could go jump off a bridge. I have the freedom to do those things, but that doesn't mean I should, right? And that's where feminism, that's where the devil's in the details, to use a pun or whatever. That's where the devil's in the details, is that feminism didn't tell women, hey, there's consequences. It just said, go do these things. And that's why I believe feminism is evil. I don't believe feminism is evil because it freed women and women shouldn't be free. No. I do think women should be free. I do think 100% everybody should have choice. Everybody should do what they want. But where feminism became evil was it told them that there would be, it didn't, I don't know if it told them directly, but it seriously implied that, go sow your wild oats, go be a hoe, it's your body, your choice. Go pay attention to these little things that they speak. Your body, my choice. True. Yeah, it's your body, your choice, but you can do a lot of evil with your choice, right? Killing a baby is murder. And just because it's legal doesn't mean it's righteous. Yes, it's your choice, quote unquote, legally, but you're still murdering and you're still going to pay a consequence for that in this life or the next life. Guarantee it, because you don't play with God. God says, "Thou shalt not kill." Period. "Thou shalt not kill" means children, means your unborn baby, fetus, and then you hear this argument, oh, it's a fetus, da 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 da. All it's just bullshit, right? Oh, the counter argument to abortion is it's not actually a human being. Well, God doesn't view it that way. God does view it as a human being. The counteraction to, oh, I can go be a slut, is, oh, well, it's my body, my choice. It doesn't matter, it doesn't make me any less of a person. Yes, it does, because you're acting immorally, right? So the ends does not justify the means, right? In this case, the ends is like, oh, I'm free, but that means I can be free by going out and doing these. Well, there's going to be consequences, and it affects everybody. It affects society. It affects children. It affects relationships, and it affects men. And what we see right now in 2025 is we see this, you know, epidemic of lonely men. Well, the truth is that it's lonely everybody. That's the truth. The truth is it's not just men, because all those men are supposed to be with somebody. So that means that all those men, the person that they're supposed to be with, that person is lonely too, right? That just stands to reason. If there's 50% women, 50% men, if there's a epidemic of lonely men, then that means there's a lot of lonely women out there. What are those women doing? They're out sleeping around. They're out on some dude's roster. They're on some guy's team. They're one of 10 women that this one guy is sleeping with. That's the reality of what's going on. I read somewhere, I think it's like 65 or 64% of, I don't know if it's men, I think it's men from age 18 to 35 or something like that have never either had sex or never had a girlfriend or something like that. Maybe that's a wrong number, but there's some number floating around there, like 65% of people have never been in a relationship or something like that in America. I'm not sure, but there's numbers out there like that, where, like, they're predicting like 50% of people are going to be single in a few years. I don't know. I haven't studied up on it, but there's some crazy statistics floating around out there that are telling you, hey, it's not good. It's not good. So we're living in a culture that has just become a hookup culture, a culture that has just become a sex culture. And I've said this on my channel a million times. I believe it traces back to the 1960s and the 1970s in second wave feminism, and I think that was the birth of it. And I think it developed and it's grown all these decades, and I think it's worse now than it's ever been. And I do think it ties into the end times. I think that we're probably living in the end times. I don't know if it's going to change. I don't know if it's going to get any better. Maybe there will be another cycle of traditionalism coming around. I know, many people have tried to implement that into culture, but unless the women take hold, it's never going to float, because the women have to have a change of heart, and I don't know what it's going to take to make that happen, because it's been too strong. The feminist propaganda, the lies about men, the lies about, oh, you can go be free and all this crap has been too strong for too many decades, and women have been off the reservation. Women have been off the reservation, so to speak. They've just been running amok. And so that's why I'm saying it's not men's fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're single. It's not your fault that you're struggling with women. It's because of their nature. It's because of hypergamy, and it's a mixture of that and the radical feminism and the culture that we've somehow allowed, to where women don't have any consequences, where women don't have any checks and balances anymore. There's no more social stigma. There's no more societal pressures to get married and all this. There's no, all that's out the window, and we're living in a very immoral time. And it exposes female nature. Female nature is hypergamy. It's I got to choose up. But at least when we had implemented social stigmas, social checks and balances, at least then she had the mind to settle down. It's not to say that she didn't have hypergamy then. It's just that her parents were telling her, you got to settle down. There was pressures, and then it was a culture. When it's a culture, people tend to want to do the things that the culture implements, and you see the benefits of it. You see the benefits of it when it's part of your culture. I believe that this type of society is not healthy mentally, is not good for the spirit. It's not good for the soul. That's what I believe. I believe that it's when you seek after these these lustful pleasures, and you seek after sin and things like that. I don't believe it's a happy life. I don't believe it's a happy direction that these people are going in. I think it's pleasurable because there's a temporary pleasure in sin. That's what the Bible says. And when we sin, it's pleasurable, but we're always thirsting for more. It's not satisfying. It's pleasurable, but it's not satisfying in the long term. Eventually, it harms your life. It harms your happiness. It harms your heart. Eventually, when you play around in that game. And here's the thing: it's there. It's about consequences. It's about consequences. And so, for men and women, when you go and you sow to your wild oats, you reap. The Bible says you reap what you sow. When you sow to the flesh, you reap death. And what kind of death is that? It's spiritual death. It's death of the heart and the soul, in the sense that you're not happy. You're not pleased. When you live a righteous life and you live a life of, following your heart and following love and following the right path, you have a good life. You have peace of mind. You're healthy. You're happy. You don't have depression. You don't suffer from low self-esteem, or you don't suffer from all these weird disorders that people are on that causes them to have causes them to need medications, and causes them to just have this low viewpoint of themselves and things like that. You skip all that. And women try to put on this good front, like, oh, I'm a boss, or I'm this, or I'm that, while they're getting used, while nobody wants to settle down with them because they're too promiscuous, or because they're too weird, because they don't have any character development, And guys are out here like, what's wrong with me? I got a good job, I'd make a good husband, I just want to love one woman, but oh, I'm not tall enough, or oh, I'm not good looking enough, or oh, I'm too tired because I work all the time, too tired to work out, so I don't have that good of a body, or maybe my diet's not great, or whatever, because that's who they're choosing. They're choosing the Chads. They're choosing the 10 out of 10 guys. They don't want to settle down with a decent guy who got a decent job, who wants to love them, because that's average. They don't want average anymore. And the social media world, the Instagrams and the Twitters and the dating apps, the Tinders, etc., make them think that they can get the 10 out of 10 guy. Just because guys want to sleep with them. But that's it. Guys just want to sleep with them. Women choose who they sleep with. Men choose who they marry. Right? And she doesn't want the guy who's desperate. She doesn't want that guy. She doesn't want to settle down with that guy unless she gets ugly or she's too old. She's got to choose somebody, so she chooses the most docile guy, and that's not a good relationship because she doesn't have the passion for him. She doesn't love him that much because he's just a weak guy, and she'll never really respect him, and then it's just a bad relationship. But this is what's happening. This is the cycle. This is, they're going out, sowing their wild oats, hitting the wall, and settling for the dudes they really don't want. And it's like we're telling them, and they don't want to listen. They always double down. No, you're wrong. You're an incel. You're this. You're that. And it's just like, okay, you don't want to be mature. You don't want to take accountability. Okay, now we got a loneliness epidemic. But I guarantee you, it ain't just men. Guarantee it, because that's not how common sense works. If there's an epidemic of lonely men, then there's an epidemic of lonely women, because those men are supposed to be with somebody. And if their counterparts are not with them, then their counterparts are lonely too. She might be, quote unquote, not lonely while she's getting banged by Chad, and she's his Tuesday night, and he's got 6 other girls lined up for the rest of the week. And what's she doing the rest of the week? She's going home to be lonely, or she's jumping onto the next dude. She's got a roster of guys she's sleeping with. That ain't happiness, and I guarantee you that's lonely. Guarantee it, because you got no one to hold, you got no one to love, you got no one to really bond with, spend time with. You're just hooking up, or you're just having these situationships, or you're having these little flings, and that's what it is. And it ain't gonna last, and it doesn't last. And eventually you're gonna end up alone. Eventually you're gonna end up unhappy. Eventually you're gonna say, whoops, I messed up. Whoops, they were right when they told us that we shouldn't go sleep around. Whoops, men were right when they told us that, they didn't want sluts, that they didn't want to settle down with messed up women. We're right. It just is what it is. And it's not that we're hating, it's not that we're jealous, or we wish, we could sleep with you, but we're mad because we can, or all this BS that these women think. It's that we wanted to settle down. We wanted love, but we weren't good enough, or we weren't cool enough, or this, that. We didn't make enough money, or this, that, and third. Okay, well, go chase after those shallow things. Go chase after money. Go chase after Chad, the tall 6'5" dude. Go chase after, the musician and the rock star and the movie star. Go chase after those dudes. Go fulfill your hypergamy and see what happens. You're going to rack up a body count. You're going to get some STDs. You're going to become a single mom. You're going to get overweight because you're depressed and you eat too much. You're going to get on antidepressants. You're going to have a drug problem or an alcohol problem. This is par for the course, man. This is what women have been doing ad nauseum for the last 50 years. Since the 1970s. It's what they've been doing. And they've been divorcing men. 80% of divorces, 85% of divorces are caused by, initiated by women. Why aren't women unhappy in their marriages? It's probably because it's a personal problem. It's not because men aren't good enough, men aren't trying, or men aren't this. It's probably because women have hypergamy. It's probably because their friends are gassing them up and telling them, oh, you can do better, or this or that, or You're going to end up alone. I've seen it. There's a million videos out there of women just complaining, oh, no one approaches me anymore. I'm too old. Where's all the good men at? Nobody wants to take me on a date. Da-da-da-da-da. And they shouldn't, because you're not worth it. You don't deserve it. It's true. It's not a good deal for men anymore. What do we get? We get used goods, we get damaged women, we get we get the leftovers. Do men deserve that? No. That's why I say it's not your fault, man. You are forced into this new culture, this new hookup culture. And to some extent, men participate in it, yes, because somebody's sleeping with with these women. Somebody's simping for these women. Somebody's gassing these women up. True. Somebody's saying, oh, you're so beautiful on her picture, and some dude that she'll never sleep with or never acknowledge, giving her free validation. There's always going to be that. And that's how men participate in it. But deep down, every guy just wants a decent woman who treats him well, who loves him, supports him, who's kind and nice and soft and not argumentative and not a modern feminist with a high body count. And is that too much to ask? I don't think so. Is it unrealistic in today's day and age? Absolutely. It's become unrealistic. But is it too much to ask? No. It's sad. It's sad because it's just a damaged culture. It's just a damaged environment. It's a damaged culture. It's a damaged society. And when you're walking through a trash can, you're going to get trash on you. It's just how it works. So you have no choice anymore. You're in the trash can, right? You're in the trash can looking for a gold gem, and it just ain't going to happen. They're all damaged. And so what are you going to do? So it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're not attracted to these type of women because you weren't programmed to be in that type of environment. That's not who we are as human beings. We're better than that. I mean, if we're talking strictly survival, whatever, anything goes. But I don't think humans were made in the image of God to be just surviving. We deserve better. And sure, there's redemption, and I hope these women get redeemed. But they're damaged goods. It is what it is. The damage has been done. What can you do when you're at a certain age and you look back and you say, oops, I messed up for a lot of years. Oops, I made a lot of mistakes. All I know is before I made my mistakes, before I went and sowed my wild oats, there was a long time when I really wanted to get married. There was a long time when I really wanted love. And I kept getting rejected. Wasn't good enough. Wasn't this. Wasn't that. Finally, I just said, screw it. And I just went out and messed around. And it was easier when I went out and messed around. It was easier. And I didn't want any of the women that I dated. Didn't want any of them because they were just low quality. Sure, they spread their legs for me, but they were low quality. And truthfully, it was like I shouldn't have really done that. That's messed up. That I did that. That I participated in lust. But I did it because we got physical needs. And I've never been able to reconcile that with God. Why He didn't bring me a quality woman. I don't know. Maybe I think some men get lucky in that way. I wasn't one of them. This is what it is. Didn't happen. I had a hard life. Various reasons. Maybe this reason. Maybe that reason. Maybe I'm not that good looking, or maybe I'm not that successful, or this or that, or whatever it is. But that's life. I don't know what to say to anybody about it. I don't know if there is an answer. God knows. I don't know. I've asked Him. I've inquired. I've prayed for decades about it. No answers. No answers. None. So, don't ask me. But I can tell you what really put the battery in their back. I can tell you what put a fire up underneath them to go be sluts. My best answer is that, again, it's hypergamy. It's feminism. It's the generation that we live in. I didn't look like Tom Brady, and I wasn't a millionaire. And even Tom Brady got cheated on. So there you go. Right? Even Tom frickin' Brady. Good-looking male model, Abercrombie and Fitch looking guy. Won 1 million Super Bowls. Best quarterback ever. Greatest of all time. Wife cheated on him with some dude. There you go. If Tom Brady can't keep a woman, what chance do you have? So, there you go, man. I don't know. It is what it is. It's a jacked up situation. So, yeah, there's a male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would absolutely agree. I would co-sign that 100%. Yeah, there is. And women caused it. And women are lonely too. And it's a messed up situation. And men, it ain't your fault. Appreciate you listening.